Hello dear crypto friends, and welcome to this video in which we are of course again going to analyze the crypto market and what could be possibly happening now with Bitcoin and the altcoins. So let us start here. I have already opened the current 2-hour chart in the upper half of the screen, and in the lower half I have loaded the 1-day chart of the late 2018 early 2019 bottom structure. Because when I was looking at the current bottom, right, this is the current bottom where we are at right now, I was a bit surprised by the bizarre nature of this bottom, and then I was realizing that this bottom has some similarities with the bottom of 2018, 2019. If we go back here, we all remember here this structure when Bitcoin fell from about 6,000 down to 3,100, its famous low. And back then already I was thinking, what kind of a bizarre bottom structure is that? I still remember clearly how I was quite convinced that we would go lower, that here this was like a weird bounce, and then here at some point we would just go lower to about $2,000. I was convinced that this would happen. But no, Bitcoin was just weirdly creeping upwards in a weird manner. It was like here doing the low, then it was pretending to do a low, and then suddenly it started pumping out of nowhere. And if we go into the 2-hour chart, this actually looks exactly like what Bitcoin was doing back then, albeit on a much faster scale. Because we can identify this structure here with this one. I would identify this structure here with this one. I would identify this structure here with this peak here with this one. We even have, as I said, this peak here. And we would say that we are now exactly at this point. We get a small dump, then we would rebound a bit, and then suddenly out of nowhere, we would get a really big green candle and then continue pumping. That is currently a real possibility that something like this could be happening, because apparently Bitcoin loves doing weird bottoms that are just super bizarre. Bitcoin is not behaving anymore like it behaved back in the day, you know, like with huge bounces all over the place in 2013, 2012. It was just doing bounces all the time. Like, look at this here. It was basically bouncing all over the place. From late 2013 until the bear market in 2015, it was just bouncing all the time. This is of course even more visible in the 1-day chart. I mean, just look at this. It's bouncing all over the place. All the time it was bouncing. And it's not bouncing anymore. It's just dropping without any bounces. Like, you are just getting one giant drop. The bounces are like super ridiculous. I mean, just look at this. This here was a bounce like what, 45%, like 45% you call a bounce. This is like, even the stock market bounces like this. Even the stock market sees bounces of 45%. Whereas, I mean, in 2013, for example, here you had a bounce of 100%, and here you had a bounce of 73%, and here you had a bounce of 118%, and here you had a bounce of 90%. These were bounces, friends. These were bounces, not like the pathetic stuff we are getting right now. These are not bounces. This is a joke. So Bitcoin is not anymore really bouncing. It's just really without any bounces going lower, and it is also making accordingly weird low structures, not anymore like this we go down and then rebound and then go up. It's not making that stuff anymore. It's just going down, bam, then staying down, and then suddenly at some point we are going up again. And I was looking at this structure here, and immediately I was saying, this really looks like the low in 2018, albeit on a much faster time scale. And if this was to repeat, then we would get a rebound now, and at some point just start going upwards with force. And why is it so important that we start going upwards? Well, I can tell you why, friends. First of all, the weekly doesn't look amazing. It is still quite ugly looking. I'm really sorry, but this is not a beautiful candle close, and we would like to see a strong reaction, especially because now we almost touched the weekly moving average, 290 weeks, which has always been historically an insanely strong support in 2015 and also again in March 2020. So we would like a strong reaction, and right now it's just not happening. So I assume it will happen very soon. If my theory proves to be correct, then we will get a pump later today or tomorrow. I would put my money on tomorrow, because tomorrow also is the weekly candle close, and I suspect that we will get a still quite okay-ish weekly candle close. And let us not forget, friends, if we go into the monthly chart, if we just look at the monthly and we also go into the Bollinger Band, we have to bounce a bit more, because what's happening here is really a bit pathetic. The monthly candle must close at least at 25,000, I would say. Must close at least at 25,000 if you want to have any hope of a V-shaped recovery. If we want a V-shaped recovery, we must close at the midway point of this candle, especially because for the first time in its entire history, Bitcoin has really touched the lower Bollinger Band, which has not ever happened in the monthly chart. So we need a strong reaction. If it stays like this, if it closes in this area, this is a weak reaction, and then I think we will go lower and it will take quite a while to recover. But should we get a monthly candle close, like for example the famous one in March 2020, where we went into an immediate rally afterwards, we got a recovery and bam, we went into a rally. If we want this to happen, we really need to close above the halfway point. So I would say a close at least 25,000, better yet 26 or 27,000. And time is running short. We now have the 25th of June, so already in 6 days the monthly candle is closed, right? Let us not forget about it. In 6 days the monthly candle will close, so we don't have too much time. A comparable candle would have been the one in late 2018. That one was an ugly monthly candle close, and what happened? We went lower. So every time we get an ugly candle close, Bitcoin is quite consistent here. We go lower, we get a nice monthly candle close, strong rebound, we go higher. We can do this also with other instances. For example, here, nice monthly candle close, we get pushed upwards, we continue the rally. Nice monthly candle close, we continue the rally. Ugly monthly candle close, January 2015, what happens? Oh, we go lower again. We go sideways and dump a second time, which goes even a bit lower than the first time. Or here, ugly monthly candle close, what happens? We go lower. Good monthly candle close here, October, November 2011, what happens? We go upwards. So you see, we can do this exercise for many monthly candles in the Bitcoin history, and it almost every single time holds true. But as I said, if this was to repeat now, if we go to the 2-hour chart, the Bollinger Band is also quite narrow, indicating that a breakout is likely. And looking at this whole thing, it just really reminded me of the 2018 low, and I just think we might get a rebound and then pump. But fascinatingly, what happened is that the altcoins are pumping before Bitcoin. The altcoin market cap, excluding Ethereum, is much more bullish than Bitcoin. Look at this. This is a much stronger recovery. And actually, this is like looking more like a V-shaped recovery, where we make like higher highs and higher lows. And basically, this is like much more bullish than Bitcoin. And many altcoins actually started pumping much more than Bitcoin. If we look at Ethereum, for example, this looks like a much nicer bottom, much better bottom than Bitcoin. Or even XRP, friends, even XRP, the favorite stablecoin, our favorite stablecoin XRP even pumped much more aggressively and recovered much more aggressively than Bitcoin, which is quite fascinating. By the way, XRP, we go here into the long-term XRP BTC chart, we exactly touched resistance. We exactly went to resistance again. Like so many times here in this insane falling resistance channel where XRP is fooling us time and time again, pretending it's going through the resistance, but of course then it disappoints us again like so many times before. But at some point it will go through. At some point, I don't know when, but at some point this sucker will go through and will finally pump. I don't know when it will happen, friends, but I can tell you just it certainly will happen at some point. Probably when this whole lawsuit stuff is over, probably not before. Fascinatingly, Cardano is looking not as bullish, which is quite interesting. It is not pumping as much as other coins and is just lingering here in this bottom area. Litecoin, on the other hand, is much more bullish looking, much more aggressive. It really started recovering quite nicely from the lows and looks again much more bullish than Bitcoin itself. So the total altcoin market cap, even including Ethereum, looks quite bullish, and actually it is retesting this previous resistance line. Now it has turned to support. So the altcoins are looking fascinatingly much more bullish than Bitcoin, but I expect that Bitcoin will also at some point start pumping, because I think it's just repeating the weird 2018 bottom. And what we have seen now the last days is that the stock market has started pumping. We got a nice rally in the Nasdaq. We got a nice rally in the S&P 500. So I suppose that at some point Bitcoin will also start pumping, because Bitcoin is normally quite correlated to the stock market, and it should normally, if the stock market continues pumping for a bit longer and manages to go through this resistance line, at some point Bitcoin will follow. It's just a normal thing. Bitcoin normally just follows the stock market, and Bitcoin will at some point just start following. We don't know when exactly, but if my theory is correct, my latest theory right now is correct, then this could really happen quite a lot sooner than we expect, and we might actually get a pump today, but probably tomorrow at some point shortly before the weekly candle close. If my theory is wrong and we make new lows, friends, that is always a possibility, then where would we have to look out for support? Well, friends, then of course this is not beautiful, because then we really might go down quite low. If we look at our long-term regression channel here, this is quite low. We could really go to 14,000 or 13,800. So let us hope that Bitcoin will recover in some form, and that this bottom is just a weird 2018-2019 bottom structure, and that we will recover and maybe even get a V-shaped recovery and get an unexpected rally. That would be quite nice, right? So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to this channel. I would be happy to welcome you. So then I would say have a nice day, friends, and see you in the next update video tomorrow. Bye!